Hello and welcome to another History Tutor video. Today we're going to be looking at the League of Nations for the 1918 to 1939 AQA topic. And we're going to be looking at some of those 4-marker questions, source skills. So thank you for joining me for this lesson. And as I said, we're going to be looking at the League of Nations today, particularly focusing on its structure, organisation, and sort of moving into the 1920s, how effective is the League of Nations? Now, this is an important little topic because you normally would in an AQA paper, 1918 to 1939 topic, gain an early question on the Treaty of Versailles, perhaps, or maybe the organisation of the League, a 1920s question, and a sort of early 1930s question, and then a cause of the Second World War question. So it is important to know this area, particularly focusing on the organisational league. It can be a tricky question if you don't know it. So do have a look at my revision videos about the organisation of the league, and then see if you can test your understanding with a little quiz we've got coming up now. Here we are then, a little quiz for you. And this time it's a quiz with a word search. Can you find 12 words associated with the League of Nations, its structure, its key members, and its commissions? Maybe give yourself a minute, see what you can find. There are country names, there are parts of the league in there, all sorts of things to find. 12 words. Have a little pause for a moment, see what you can find. And here we are then. I'm going to make it a bit easier for you now. Let's have the actual words then. So here are the 12 words. Maybe have a look, see if you can find some of these words in there. Okay, had a little look. Well, here are the answers. Maybe take a pause if you don't want to see them yet. Here they are. So you can see those answers in there, ranging from the countries like Britain, Italy, France, the countries who made up the permanent council members. We've got ideas like obviously refugees and assembly, commissions, secretariat, all different sort of structure groups of the League of Nations. Right, so we're going to use some of this knowledge then to look at our 4-marker questions, source skills. Now it seems like an easy question, but it's one that you can drop a couple of marks on quite simply with some simple errors. So let's see if we can rectify that. Here is our question then. So source A is critical of the League of Nations. How do you know? Explain your answer using source A and your contextual knowledge. So there is our source. It's the gap in a bridge source, which many of you would have seen in your textbooks. So what do we need to do to answer this question correctly? Have a think for a moment. What are the skills you need to show to do this correctly and get 4 marks? Have a think. All right, here's what I've come up with. So obviously it's a 4-marker question, so don't write more than a paragraph, 4, maximum 5 sentences. Okay, we've got that rule normally of 1 mark per 1 sentence, so try and stick to that if we can. Give the message of the source. We want a message. You can describe what you see, but generally just giving the message is fine. Explain with knowledge why it is critical. So why has this got a critical, which means negative? It doesn't think it's working correctly, does it? If it's critical or something. So we need to explain it. So knowledge, it says there very clearly, use your contextual knowledge. And add a simple furthermore. You could use the provenance of the source or a simple bit of extra knowledge to explain why it's critical. All right, and that should end with 4, maximum 5 sentences. So have a look at so now on the exam paper, you're going to be looking over it in the exam. You're going to start maybe labeling some of the things and picking out some of the key evidence so you can interpret the message. So, have a practice that exercise now. What is the message of the source? Can you suggest the meanings of the different things I've labeled there? Again, you're welcome to pause and have a think. Use me as like your revision tutor. I've named myself that. So here we are, some ideas then. So a bridge with the main countries listed is one of the bits of evidence. We've got a keystone. USA is missing as the keystone, and a man representing USA does not look like he'll be doing anything about it to put America in the bridge. The sign explaining that League of Nations bridge was made by the USA, and a large dark hole under the bridge, of course. And these all have meanings. So obviously the USA made the bridge due to Wilson's 14 points and his idealism. So America is a key part of the League of Nations. Obviously, it's important they are missing. The keystone obviously suggests the most important country is is not joining the League. America left World War I as the most powerful nation in the world. They're not joining the League because the US Congress rejected the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 and that's going into 1920 and 21. And therefore, the League is a lot weaker because of that. It suggests Britain, France, and Italy will be the main four countries running the League. They are the big part of the big four. Obviously, it's not Belgium, it's actually Japan, who is the other country who are the permanent members of the League Council, and they have the responsibility for solving world problems. Are they strong enough? Britain and France are a little bit damaged by the war. Italy, perhaps not a big power after the war. They didn't get much of what they wanted. So are they going to be strong enough to stop war? And obviously we've got the dark chasm there, suggests trouble in the world and an uncertain future. We've got problems with communist Russia. We've got problems with Germany settling down and they've got lots of problems. Okay, we've got problems with the new establishment of new nations in Europe. Self-determination didn't work very well and there's lots of little squabbles going on. Resolve all of things. So how are we going to answer the question with this then? So we should remember our P structure from other videos. Obviously, it's your first video, then you'll see this structure repeated in lots of my videos and how to structure your question really successfully. So it's really important to repeat the question back and introduce an argument to start with. So source A is critical League nations because, and give a reason why. Because it looks weak. Okay, that's the sort of message of the bridge, isn't it? For example, give some basic source content or a message if you haven't given one in the opening line. Then explain this is a critical view because this is where you're going to use your knowledge of the structure of the League, the events that happen in creating the League to support that. And then furthermore, you can give a simple second explanation using knowledge, or you can use the provenance of the source. In fact, it's a British cartoon. It's a satirical Punch magazine drawn around December 1919. You might be aware of events that have happened around about that time. So let's give this a go, shall we? Right, so how this works is you can just listen to me or you can play along and just try and think about how you'd end each sentence. Your answer might not be the same as mine. History allows different arguments, allows different interpretations. As long as you have lots of good understanding and good content, you'll create a good answer. So have a go at finishing the first sentence. What would you say is a good message to finish this first sentence? So I've gone for source A is critical League nations because it suggests that they are very weak and will be unable to solve problems. Right, so we could give a little bit of source evidence here if we wanted to. It probably flows better to do so. Not essential though, because we've shown we understand the source, okay, already in the opening line. But we could just comment on the bridge, couldn't we? So, for example, it shows the most important country, USA, has not joined the League, okay, and the bridge looks weak. So, explain. This is a critical view because now we need some knowledge of the events. This is the really important bit. We've only got about 2 marks at the moment. So we need to get a 3 and a 4 marks. Okay, this could be the difference between a grade. Remember, many students are 1 or 2 grades off there and a grade up. So let's make sure every mark counts. So what would you do? What would you say? Right, here's my answer then. This is a critical view because the USA had set up the League and then its Congress rejected the Treaty of Versailles and the League of Nations. This meant the League would be a lot weaker as the USA was the strongest power in the world and Britain, France, and Italy would struggle to solve problems. Okay, so there we are. There's a little bit of knowledge. It's quite simple. And then we could do it furthermore using another bit of knowledge or the provenance or maybe a combination of the two. So what do you think? Have a go. What could you say? Maybe one sentence. Okay, here's what I've gone for. Furthermore, the cartoon is critical to the League as the source was made at the end of 1919. By this time, the US Congress had rejected the League once and the League looked doomed to be weak without the USA joining. Okay, so there we are. That would be a nice answer. We've shown some understanding of the provenance of the time period. There was actually 2 votes in Congress. This was after the first vote, and then they rejected it again. Woodrow Wilson obviously went on tour around America, you might know, trying to get people to accept the treaty, but he couldn't manage to do it. Well, I hope you found that video useful as a recap on the League of Nations structure and how to do the 4-mark source question. There'll be loads more videos coming soon, so do look out for them. But bye-bye for now.